The Wise Little Squirrel. A tale of saving for winter. And now, attention. A riddle. I'm a bushy-tailed friend who loves to climb trees. I gather acorns and nuts with the greatest of ease. But here's something special that might make you stare. What do I do that makes me quite rare? Maybe. I can fly between trees like a bird in the sky. Or, I hibernate all winter long, saying goodbye. Or, I can remember where I buried thousands of nuts. Which do you think is the correct answer? Take a guess. You will find out the correct answer at the end of the story. In the heart of whispering woods, where the trees stood tall and proud, lived a young squirrel named Nutkin. He was known for his bright eyes, fluffy tail, and boundless energy. Nutkin loved nothing more than to scamper through the forest, chasing butterflies and playing with his friends. One warm summer day, as Nutkin was bouncing from branch to branch, he came across his neighbor, Old Oak the Owl. Old Oak was perched on a sturdy branch, his wise eyes twinkling in the dappled sunlight. "Good morning, young Nutkin," hooted Old Oak. "Are you enjoying the sunny weather?" "Oh, yes," chirped Nutkin. "It's perfect for playing and exploring." Old Oak nodded sagely. "Indeed it is, but have you given any thought to the coming winter?" Nutkin tilted his head, confused. "Winter? But that's so far away. Why should I think about that now?" The old owl chuckled softly. "Ah, my young friend, it's never too early to prepare for the future. The warm days won't last forever, and when the cold comes, food will be scarce." Nutkin's whiskers twitched. He had never considered this before. "But what should I do, Old Oak?" "Start gathering nuts and seeds," advised the owl. "Store them away in a safe place. That way, when winter arrives, you'll have plenty to eat." Nutkin thought about this for a moment. It seemed like a lot of work, and he'd much rather play with his friends. But Old Oak was the wisest creature in Whispering Woods, so Nutkin decided to give it a try. The next day, instead of chasing butterflies, Nutkin began collecting acorns and pine cones. He worked diligently, scurrying back and forth between the forest floor and his cozy tree hollow. By lunchtime, he had gathered quite a pile. As Nutkin was admiring his work, his friend Hopsy the rabbit came bouncing by. "Hey Nutkin," called Hopsy. "Want to play hide and seek?" Nutkin looked longingly at his friend, then back at his pile of nuts. "I can't, Hopsy. I'm saving food for winter." Hopsy's nose twitched in surprise. "Winter? But that's ages away. Come on, let's have fun now." For a moment, Nutkin was tempted. But then he remembered Old Oak's words. "Sorry, Hopsy, maybe later. I need to keep working." As the days passed, Nutkin continued to gather and store food. It wasn't always easy. Sometimes he felt tired or bored, and often he could hear his friends playing nearby. But each time he looked at his growing stockpile, he felt a sense of pride and accomplishment. One day, as summer was turning to fall, Nutkin was out foraging when he heard a commotion. He scampered over to investigate and found a group of animals gathered around Hopsy the rabbit. "What's wrong?" Nutkin asked, concerned. "It's terrible," wailed Hopsy. "I was playing by the big oak tree, and I accidentally knocked down a beehive. The bees chased me away, and now they won't let anyone near the tree. That's where all the best acorns are." The animals murmured worriedly. Many of them, like Hopsy, hadn't started preparing for winter yet. Without access to the big oak tree, they would struggle to gather enough food. Nutkin thought for a moment, then spoke up. "Don't worry, everyone. I have an idea." He led the group back to his tree hollow and showed them his impressive stockpile of nuts and seeds. "I've been saving all summer," Nutkin explained. "There's more than enough here to share. We can split my food now, and once the bees calm down, we can all work together to gather more." The animals were amazed by Nutkin's generosity and foresight. They gratefully accepted his offer, and together they divided up the stored food. As they worked, Hopsy approached Nutkin. "I'm sorry I teased you for not playing," she said. "You were so smart to save for the future. I wish I had done the same." Nutkin smiled at his friend. "It's okay, Hopsy. We all learn from our experiences. And now you know for next year." From that day on, the animals of Whispering Woods looked at Nutkin with new respect. They realized that sometimes it's important to think ahead and prepare for the future, even if it means sacrificing some fun in the present. As the leaves began to change color and the air grew crisp, the animals worked together to gather food for the winter. Nutkin taught them his best techniques for finding and storing nuts, and soon everyone had a good supply. When the first snow fell, blanketing Whispering Woods in white, the animals were ready. They snuggled into their warm homes, content in the knowledge that they had plenty of food to last until spring. Nutkin curled up in his cozy tree hollow, surrounded by his remaining nuts and seeds. As he drifted off to sleep, he thought about how different things might have been if he hadn't listened to Old Oak's advice. He was glad he had learned the importance of saving for the future. That winter was long and cold, but thanks to their preparation, the animals of Whispering Woods never went hungry. They spent the chilly days sharing stories, playing games, and enjoying each other's company. When spring finally arrived, bringing with it fresh buds and warm sunshine, the animals emerged from their homes feeling happy and healthy. They gathered in a sunny clearing to celebrate the new season. As they feasted on fresh berries and spring greens, Old Oak flew down to join them. He looked around at the thriving community with pride. "Well done, my friends," he hooted. "You've all learned a valuable lesson about the importance of planning ahead." Nutkin beamed with pride. "We couldn't have done it without your wisdom, Old Oak, and we couldn't have done it without working together." The other animals nodded in agreement. They had learned that by saving a little bit each day and helping each other, they could overcome any challenge. From that year on, the animals of Whispering Woods always made sure to save for the future. But they also remembered to enjoy the present, finding a balance between work and play, saving and sharing. And Nutkin? He continued to gather nuts each summer, but he also made time for chasing butterflies and playing with his friends. After all, he had learned that the best kind of saving was the kind that allowed you to enjoy life to the fullest, no matter what season it was. As the years passed, Nutkin grew older and wiser. The young animals of Whispering Woods would often gather around him to hear the story of the winter when he saved the day with his stockpile of nuts. And each time he told the tale, Nutkin would remind them of the most important lesson of all. "Remember, little ones," he'd say, his eyes twinkling, "a wise creature thinks of tomorrow, but never forgets to enjoy today. Save for the future, but also save room for fun and friendship. That's the secret to a happy life in Whispering Woods and everywhere else too." And so, the legacy of the wise little squirrel lived on, teaching generation after generation the value of saving, sharing, and savoring every moment of life's great adventure. The end. And now the correct answer to the riddle. The correct answer is: I can remember where I buried thousands of nuts. Squirrels are indeed remarkable for their ability to remember the locations of thousands of nuts they've buried. This is called spatial memory, and it's crucial for their survival, especially during winter when food is scarce. Some interesting facts about this. Squirrels can bury up to 10,000 nuts per year. They can remember the locations of these buried nuts for several months. Squirrels use various landmarks and spatial cues to remember where they've hidden their food. This excellent memory helps them find about 40 to 80% of the nuts they bury. Interestingly, the nuts they don't find often grow into new trees, making squirrels important for forest regeneration. As for the other options, while flying squirrels can glide between trees, they don't actually fly like birds. Regular squirrels can't do this at all. Most squirrels don't truly hibernate. They're less active in winter, but they wake up regularly to feed on their stored food.